Hello guys, welcome back to another video. Um it's John Mary. It's been a very long time I updated you guys on my channel, and today I'm gonna be starting a weekly review and projection on basically gold and Bitcoin. So I'll be doing a weekly projection on gold and Bitcoin every single week, and so we get to know what will be happening or what we might be expecting for the new week on gold and Bitcoin. So without wasting much of our time, I think we'll just dive into the video and let's get started. Okay, yeah, I have here on my list, on my watch list, gold and Bitcoin, and we'll be starting with gold. So last week on gold, we had a very good trade on gold, but it was a miss. It was a miss. A very good trade, which was supposed to give us 5R. We got a miss. So I'm gonna do a review on why, on how I got this setup, what I saw, and what made me actually took my bias for a short and not a long. I'm gonna walk you step through. So first off, last week or the previous week, um, on the previous week on gold, this was what we had. We had something like a break. We had a break of candlestick structure. So I build my bias in two major ways. I use candlestick formation, and I use um the weekly key level rejection and candlestick formation. So at the end of every single week, I mark the high and the low of every week to know where the liquidity price took and where price is actually heading to by looking at the previous weekly candlestick. So if I see a break of this low, of a previous weekly candle low, it's it's a signal for me that we might possibly see more lows in the new week. So that was why I took the bias for some short. So I marked the high and the low, and I found out that price took out the low of this week's candle, and then closed below this candle. So I was bearish on gold, although price was rejecting from this weekly cluster here, this weekly key level here. Price was rejecting from here, but I didn't see an intent on the daily time frame. So an intent means price rejecting a key level like this, and then going to a one time frame lower like the daily to see something like this. Yeah, so whenever we see a break on the daily, that gives us an intent to hold that bias. So I went to the daily and I didn't see anything like this. So I didn't see a break. So that was why I neglected my bullish bias and went in for the sales. So yeah, so I took the sell. So that was how I built my bias, as simple as that. So on every single new week, I actually mark the beginning and yeah, I actually mark the beginning of every single week so we don't get confused. So That was how I had it in mind that I would be looking for short on gold. So I went to the daily. On the daily, that is where I tend to monitor what price will be doing within the week. So since I have a bias of bearish, I will be looking for sales on the daily with the formation of of a sweep, either a sweep, price sweeping the high of a previous daily candle, giving an intent on the 4 hour, or price rejecting from a daily key level, that is like a daily reject daily, just like this. A daily reject daily, something like this. I don't want this video to be too long. Sorry, let me just use the I'm just gonna use so a daily reject daily is something like this. When price rejecting a key level, that is a daily reject daily. You can see this candle rejected from this key level. This is an example, a clear example of a daily reject daily key level scenario. So that is what I look for on the daily, and moving over to the lower time frame to get my entry. So on the daily, this was what I'm just delete this so it will give me a clean chart. So on the daily, I was looking for a sweep, and then I saw one, which was this. That was on Wednesday. On Wednesday, I saw a clear sweep, and I usually mark the candle range that did the sweep, and then went to the 4 hour time frame to get my intent. Just gonna delete this. So moving over to the 4 hour time frame. Using the line chart, I always make use of the line chart because it gives me a clear structure, how to map out my break of structure. So looking at the 4 hour time frame, this is an intent, that is a break of structure, price breaking structure. So here, this is a clear break of structure, which happened here. You can see this is a clear break of structure. So immediately I saw this, I was very interested in it, and then I marked out this level. One thing about break of structure, whenever I see a break of structure happens here, and then the candle that did the break of structure also broke another recent um, support, which was now breaking to become resistance, like this. Because you see, this is a huge candle. It broke this, and it also broke this. So whenever I see something like this and a huge impulsive candle breaking the most recent structure and a substructure below it, I usually mark this instead of this. So I'll be watching price at this level. So I'll delete this. So now for me to get my entry, remember this was Wednesday and now we are at Thursday. I do not take a trade or else the candle that did the sweep closes. If the candle that did the sweeping of the previous candle is like, let's say, a Wednesday candle sweeps the high of a Tuesday candle, I must wait to see the closure you must wait to see the closure of that Wednesday candle, that particular candle, in order not to get faked out on your trades. Always wait for disclosure and then go to a time frame lower to get your intent. So after doing that, I marked out this level from this level to the candle that did the break. Candle that generated the break. Now my entry model is personal because I customized my entry to an indicator based. So whenever I go to the lower time frame and I confirm my intent, then I mark out the range of the break of structure. I usually go to a lower time frame from 1 hour time frame downwards to look for a particular candle which will be formed on the lower time frame to get my entry. So but I did research and after so many back testing and refining, I customized it to be an indicator based. So it's like an indicator based entry. An indicator based, but it is still price action because it deals with candlestick formation. So that was why I customized it. So whenever I go to the lower time frame, it is much more easier for me to spot on instead of scrolling through the candles specifically to get that particular entry. So I customize it to an indicator base that whenever I see a color of that, a specific color, I I pick that to be my entry because that is what I want to see, or that is what I will be looking for. So yeah. So on the 1 hour time frame, I can't clearly see that candle. On the 15 minutes time frame, I cannot see that my entry model candle too. Here is it is a customized entry model which I did. I customized it. So okay, yeah, good. So yeah, this is what I want to see here. This is it. This yellowish candle formation. This is what I want to see, and this will be my entry. Yeah, so I customize it for longs and for shorts. So this is for shorts. Why for longs I have it appears as I think it's kind of like a sky blue candle. Yeah, sky blue color on the specific candle. So yeah, so that was why I marked this candlestick low as my entry. So whenever I see this moving down to the lower time frame, I take that particular candle um which I saw my entry model on that particular time frame. That's where I take my entry from. So yeah, that was why I marked it to be my entry. And then we can take this off. And you can take this off. So let's move to the 1 hour time frame. So on the 1 hour time frame, you can see this was supposed to be my entry. At this particular level here, this purple line. I usually have a stop loss of 30 pips or 35 pips. And then target 1 is to 3 minimum, 1 is to 4 max, 1 is to 5 max. So this was supposed to be my entry. Today this we don't need it anymore. So guys, this was supposed to be my entry, but you can see just few pips away to get me triggered. Market dumped. Gold usually do this sometimes, most of the time, and this was a very good potential trade. This was a very good potential trade. She dumped, made over 1:5 hour, over 1:5 hour. So that was how I missed the trade on gold this last week. Just the market, the way the market just decided to flow. So why on Bitcoin? I don't want this video to be too long. On Bitcoin, I'll be very fast. So on Bitcoin, this this was what I saw. On Bitcoin, I saw a miss. It was price did price did give us a very good entry on Bitcoin. Price did give us a good entry on Bitcoin. It left us so we didn't have anything on Bitcoin. So I'll just go straight to analyzing what we're going to be expecting for next week on gold and Bitcoin, so that this video will not be too long, and so that you grab the knowledge which I have to pour out, the little knowledge which I have to pour out. So for the new week, I always start my week from the weekly time frame. Whenever we're having a new week, I start my bias from the weekly time frame, and whenever we're starting a new day, I start my bias from the daily time frame. Same as for a new month. We always start to look at the higher time frame, the monthly, to see what the previous month's candle did. So on the weekly, this was what we are seeing right now on the weekly time frame. We are seeing a clear sweep of the previous week's high, and this is the previous week's low. Now this is a clear indication that we might be seeing price dumping. We might be seeing price dump this new week. Possibly, it is possible. It is possible. So in order for me to confirm this, because I cannot just use this blindly. This is like a CROT pattern. So in order for me not to use this blindly, I always go to the daily time frame to see if it gave us an intent. Now the intent, it didn't give us any intent. Looking from the weekly time frame, although this looks like a break, but it is not a true break. It is not a true break, so I won't regard it. So on the weekly, price didn't give us any intent, but On the daily, price didn't give us any intent, but on the weekly, it has shown us that I have taken the high of the previous candlestick liquidity. Possibly we might be heading lower. We might still be heading lower on gold. So for me, this new week, I'll be watching and be expecting sales, more sales on gold. So I'll be expecting more sales on XAUUSD. But for now, I can't really point out a particular um point or a particular level which I'll be getting my entry from, because I usually take my entry from the new daily candlestick formations for the week, during the week. So I can't really point out the particular zone, but I know and I have my bias already that I'll be looking for sales and shorts unless proven otherwise. So for gold shorts next week, look for shorts, sell, sales, look for sales opportunity. If you're using a breakout strategy, you're using ICT, you're using SMC, you're using CROT. Now this is just my own bias and what I feel structurally and technically what market might possibly do for the new week. So for me, I'll be looking for sales. While on Bitcoin, I guess this video might be long now, but it's okay. So on Bitcoin, look clearly, look clearly. Bitcoin price swept the high of the previous candle. Although I did a video last week and I was looking at this candle last week, I knew this candle was like a consolidation candlestick because it formed within this previous week's body. It didn't break the high, it didn't break the low, it just formed within it. So that is a major sign of a consolidation um era. So I knew this candle was consolidating. So that is why we didn't see much momentum or much price action on Bitcoin last week. So but for the new week, we saw price swept the high of the previous week candle, and now the low is unswept. So for me to confirm if this is actually going to play out, or the market is just want to manipulate some and weak out um sellers and then keep buying up and looking closely, remember I told you I always use the sweep of a candle and rejection of a key level. Looking at this, you can see this is a key level. You can see this is a key level and price also rejected from it. You can see so, and it's still forming. You see this week hasn't closed yet. We still have 6 hours 27 minutes to close this week, and then we will know the fate of uh, of next week. So you see price still rejecting from this weekly candle key level, and then it has swept this previous weekly high. So since price is still rejecting from this weekly, we are likely to see price pulling up. But like I said, we didn't see an intent here. We did not see a structural break. We did not see a structural break here on the daily time frame. So my my bullish bias is void unless proven otherwise. So I have full confidence on I have more confidence on sales because I can see, look at the weekly chart. Why do you think I have more confidence on the sales? I have more confidence on the sales rather than the buys because I saw a sweep on the weekly and then going lower to a lower time frame. I can see an intent, a clear break of structure. This is a clear break of structure. So that is a clear break of structure. So I'll be looking for sales on Bitcoin too. So since I'm seeing a break of structure, I could possibly get an entry for the new week. Could possibly get a good entry for the new week. Oh shit. Could possibly get a sell entry. So since we've seen a break, yeah, we could possibly get an entry here. Let me see if I can get an entry. So we mark the low of this candle and to the candle that did the what? That did the break. So let's go to a lower time frame to see if we can get an entry. Delete this, we don't need this. So since I've marked this box, this is where I'll be looking for that candlestick formation on the lower time frame. So this is the only place I'll be looking for that entry here. So I'm not seeing anyone. I don't know if you can see. Can you see any formation of the yellow candle for sales? Okay, you can see one. Okay, you can see this is an illustration or an example of the buy for the buy. So if we're looking for buy, this is the buy scenario. Why this is for the sell. So since we've seen a good entry on this 45 minutes time frame, I'm gonna be picking that. We could take the high and the body, the low and the body. So guys, you can see market is reacting from that level. You can see it. Market is currently reacting from that level. You can see it. I might possibly take this sell. You can see market is reacting from that level. Delete this. We don't need this. You can see market is reacting from that level now. So this might be like a trigger for a sell, a live a live trigger, a live bias for a sell. Although market has started moving already. And where are we gonna be targeting? We're gonna be targeting the low of that weekly candle. Guys, after this video, I'm gonna be placing that trade for a sell and I'll update you guys. It's currently moving already. So this is my bias for the new week. I'm currently shorting Bitcoin and gold. So sells on gold and sells on Bitcoin. See you guys on my next video. I hope this video was educative and I would love to hear your bias or your comment on my projection and bias. What do you think would happen, or what do you think we might be expecting on gold and Bitcoin? So enjoy this video and learn one or two classic information from it. See you on my next video. Peace out. Remember, trade your plan your trade and trade your plan. Peace out.